Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a brand edition of FOL Justice Forum on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jai, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. Tonight, we're going to be dealing with some trending legal issues in our country, Liberia. We're going to look at those issues carefully and discuss them. With me is the chief discussant here on Focus on Liberia FOL Justice Forum, Councillor Frederick Jayweh. Councillor, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm glad to be here.
There are a lot of issues or legal issues in the news, and we've been discussing them in our own discussions, in our around the fire on social media, and people have had their own opinions. But we decided to discuss these things and ask someone who know a thing or two about the law.
It's going on and off. Why?
Are you not hearing me clearly?
What? Wait, let me go out and come back and see.
All right, we'll take a short break and we'll be right
back. At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jai.
Welcome back to Focus on Liberia, and we are on FOL Justice Forum. The presenter here is Mr. Frederick Jayweh. I'm only here moderating. Councillor, how are you today?
Good, I'm okay.
All right. There are a lot of current legal issues that have been discussed in Liberia, and we want to make sense of them all. We are encouraging all our viewers, if you have any legal issues that you want us to discuss, please also let us know. We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Councillor, most of the time, these are legal issues are being discussed, and we hear people give their own opinion, political opinion sometimes. There are a few issues that I want us to discuss today. Number one, there is a case involving the NEC boss, that's David Brown Lasana. That case has been dismissed. And that's the case. Can you hear me clearly? Are you hearing me?
Yeah, but it's going off and coming back on. It's going off and coming back on.
I don't know what's happening, but the State Judicial Circuit Court at the Temple of Justice or Criminal C has dismissed the indictment against the National Elections Commission chairperson, David Brown. We also want to welcome Councillor Jerome Verdia. Every time you see Jerome, you think of TRC, but he's not here for the TRC today. Councillor Verdia, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Dennis. Always a pleasure, and good afternoon, Councillor.
All right, thank you. And Jerome, are you hearing me clearly?
Yes, very clearly. All
right. We have a few issues here that we want to discuss. These are trending legal issues, I call them. We see that the State Judicial Circuit Court at the Temple of Justice dismissed the indictment against National Election Commission chairperson David Brown. We want to see, what happened to that case, what's the next step, and what can be done. Let's see, Councillor.
I'm trying to use one now because I don't know what's happening.
Right. So how is it now? Is it better?
On my phone is fine.
All right.
Councillor, I spoke to you. You didn't respond, so I'm not sure you heard it.
Yeah.
Are you, Councillor?
Not bad, Councillor.
So adjust yourself a little bit to be in the center of the screen. You move on the other side. Yeah. So again, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Focus on Liberia Justice Forum. With me, I have Councillor Jerome Verdia, also Councillor Frederick Jayweh. Gentlemen, the issues tonight we want to look into Number one, the 6th Judicial Circuit Court at the Temple of Justice dismissed the indictment against the National Election Commission Chairperson David Brown. The next thing here is in the ongoing case, Ambassador Joseph Newman Boakai has been subpoenaed by the Monrovia City Court to testify in the ongoing forgery and criminal conspiracy case against the political leader of the ANC, Mr. Alexander Cummings, and some of his colleagues in the ANC. Also, the United Party Standard Bearer, Joseph Newman Boakai, say if there is no UP candidate in the senatorial by-election in Lofa, there will be no election. We want to see whether this is a threat, it's being protected by free speech and all the 9 yards. If we have time, we're going to go into something very special. That's the immunity clause. But let's look at these few issues, starting with the issue with David Brown Lasana. Councillor Jayweh, please, for the sake of our viewers, give us a little rundown of what's going on with David Brown Lasana and where we are currently with this case.
Well, I know that the chairman was taken to Court C and charged with a lot of stuff, including inside trading. Her lawyer then filed, there was an indictment and the writ of arrest issued for her. She was arrested and taken to court. She filed bond. And prior to the actual hearing of the case, her lawyer filed a motion to dismiss, arguing that criminal Court C had no jurisdiction. That motion was sustained, meaning the judge agreed with the lawyer for David Brown, and the case was dismissed just recently. The government announced appeal, and so this is I think it's the Anti-Corruption Commission announced appeal to the Supreme Court, and so the matter will travel to the Supreme Court. Now let me go back a little bit. The case was dismissed not on the merit; it was dismissed for lack of jurisdiction. When a criminal case is dismissed without the merit of the case being heard against the government of Liberia, then the government has the right to appeal. So there is an appeal that should be perfected before the Supreme Court. Meaning that David Brown, until the appeal is decided, remains a free person as per the decision of Court C, and which the Supreme Court hearing the appeal.
Thank you. Councillor Verdia, what is this jurisdiction? I mean, this is a criminal court. Can they not hear a case on a criminal case that this person, committed insider trading and all the 9 yards?
There's more than one criminal court in Liberia.
Okay.
I don't know the charge, but jurisdiction is conferred by the law. So a particular criminal court has jurisdiction over certain matters. And if the court agreed that it didn't have jurisdiction, it means that that case was not properly brought before it. And that is why the other party asks for it to be dismissed. And jurisdiction can come into several ways for the subject matter.
Councillor, if you're on your phone, please put it on Do Not Disturb. Maybe somebody call you and then, so your voice is kind of in and out.
Well, are you disturbing now? Nobody has called me. I'm now on my phone.
Okay, now it's clear. So maybe you need to move forward to the phone.
Yeah.
When you lean back, then we can hear you.
I want to relax.
All right, please relax. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so basically that is it. I don't know the charge, and as the jury will speak more to that. But the court has to examine its right to hear the case, which is what we call jurisdiction. Whether the court has all the authority, all the rights by law or anything else to hear the case, and the court must examine that before it goes into the case. So if one of the parties notices that the court is lacking jurisdiction, certainly the court cannot hear the matter when it has not jurisdiction. But I understand the state or whosoever was prosecuting her has appealed. So there could be a misunderstanding of the law or controversy there. It depends who brought the case. Just on a casual basis, I heard somebody saying that anti-corruption is the one that took the case and they didn't have the jurisdiction to try a criminal case. And so I really don't know the facts. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the case started with the LACC issuing the indictment. Let me go to Councillor Jayweh on the facts of the case. The LACC indicted and then took this case. So is it the LACC that does not have the right to do so, or the criminal code does not have the jurisdiction, criminal code C? So what's the issue here?
Code C is saying that the charges, which has to do with economic sabotage, inside trading, are charges, particularly inside trading, are charges that are not provided for under the criminal law of Liberia or under the new penal code of Liberia. And that if Ms. Chairman David Etta Brown breach any law, it is a law that has to do with not the criminal law of Liberia. And so there is an act that should create an agency. I forgot the name of the agency.
Ombudsman.
Okay, the Ombudsman agency, to be able to hear those kind of cases. David Etta Brown was charged with shooting contract, giving out contract to her brothers that amounted to, I think, $182,000. And she was not charged directly with theft of property. That's why Code C is saying in this ruling that, look, if you say this was done as inside trading, Code C, which is a theft code, theft of property and economic sabotage, will refute jurisdiction because we don't have a law that talks about inside trading. And so go find the agency that's supposed to deal with outside trading. But the criminal procedure law and the new penal code has nothing inside called inside trading. It's either theft of property, misappropriation of trusted property, economic sabotage. Those are things that we have. The court has jurisdiction over. So that is why the case was dismissed. And the government, LACC, let me go back a little bit. Two things wrong with this case. There is a statute that created LACC. That statute says that LACC can prosecute criminal matters, but must refer the matter over to the Ministry of Justice that is responsible for the general prosecution of crimes, and allow the Ministry of Justice 90 days to be able to say whether the evidence is enough to prosecute before. And if the 90 days passes and the Minister of Justice and the Minister of Justice does not do anything about the case, then LACC on its own can go to court, get an indictment, get a writ of arrest, and arrest somebody. But in Liberia, particularly under the WIA government, maybe the Cllr government, the Minister of Justice has been very selective in prosecuting people. When they don't look at you good and then a judge, you don't look like on our side, who will indict you. In the case of LACC never referred the matter to the Ministry of Justice. They went ahead, investigated, took its own investigation notes, went to the court, got an indictment, had a writ of arrest, had Madam Etta Brown arrested on inside trading, mainly on inside trading. It looks to me that the LACC does not understand the criminal law. Because if you understand that the new penal code has specific code layout, you cannot create anything new by yourself. Inside trading is not a law in the new penal code. That's why the case was dismissed.
Oh, wow. So two things. The LAC, Councillor, you can count. The LAC was playing the role that the ombudsman supposed to be playing, and then criminal inside trading. Some people can say you're still law in America. Inside trading. So the case of insider trading cannot be prosecuted in Liberia?
There is no law. Go ahead,
There is no law specifically labeled as insider trading. And broadly speaking, there is no anti-corruption laws in Liberia. All the corruption we say we're fighting, there is no anti-corruption law. Most of the laws are just based on theft. And the code of conduct attempted to address blue-collar crimes. Most corruption laws are blue-collar crimes. So as Councilor said, the LACC that filed the charge, maybe they shouldn't have done it, should have gone to the Ministry of Justice. And besides, they do not understand the criminal justice law, the penal law. And so they didn't know how to properly file that suit. But there are provisions within the criminal law that could be used to bring that suit, combined with the code of conduct. That would have been a proper, but I don't know whether the code of conduct has even been codified into a penal code. I don't know, it's been a while. No. So that, okay, it has now. So we do not have anti-corruption law, and insider dealing is about corruption. It's about blue-collar crimes, not ordinary crimes.
So the issue is on the word or the phrase insider trading. If they are used any other name that is under the penal code, that would have worked, correct?
So that's why a seasoned lawyer, a prosecutor or lawyer would do. They will look at the contents of the crime, the elements of the crime, and try to find a code that relates to those very elements, and don't use insider dealings. It will amount, the council said, to something else, maybe theft of property or something, but the contents, the law provides what constitutes a crime. So if it's not in the law, it's not in the law. It's not a crime until the law says it's a crime.
So that could be, you could say, let prosecutor has nepotism on a, I don't know if it is in the code of conduct.
No. So let me come in. If the LACC were not so much in a rush.
And why would they be in a rush? Why is this?
Well, maybe
could this be the first time LACC is doing this?
The chairman, they have a new chairman, Councilor Edward Martin, his name is, was just appointed, I think, not more than a year or less than a year ago. His first investigation, or one of his first major investigation, is the LACC. It's the NET, not LACC, is NET, the National Election Commission. He also investigated the National Port Authority. You remember the case in Buchanan? He also investigated that case. He chose to pick the potato leaves from around the potato and leave the potato on the ground. Meaning it did not decide to prosecute those people who actually were involved in the criminal act in the Buchanan case, but ran faster than light to indict David Etta Brown. The LACC, if it actually knew the criminal law, it would have brought David Etta Brown to court on economic sabotage. Section 15.80. Anytime you take away money that's supposed to assist the country to move forward, you are involved in not only theft, but you are sabotaging the function and activity of the government. So they didn't want to do that. They went ahead and said inside trading. But inside trading is not in the penal code. And so you have a problem. You could have prosecuted David Etta Brown for giving out $182,000 to her two brothers by bringing in machine that would have cost $1,000 a piece, and prosecuted her for economic sabotage. And you were convicted of, because the issue is not whether she didn't do it. The issue is the law doesn't exist. So what would the essence of bringing her for inside trading when the it's not even codified as a criminal code? It's a civil thing.
But could the LACC do this, or they could have transferred this to the Justice Ministry for?
They think they should have first. In the weird government, maybe in the government, that it was the same thing. There are actual fight over positions. Government officials are fighting themselves on a daily basis. Look at the Minister of Justice and the Solicitor General. They are fighting. Who should do what they are fighting in the Minister of Justice? And I'm surprised President Weah would keep those two people in there. The LSCC did not want to deal with the Ministry of Justice because at the Ministry of Justice, there are seasoned criminal prosecutors. They would look at the facts and say, wait, we don't have inside trading in the penal code, but we have theft of property. We have misappropriation of what you call it, entrusted property. We have economic sabotage. Let's bring her to court on economic sabotage because she caused $182,000 to go to her two brothers for bringing machines that each of them could cost $1,000. If you bought it brand new, it could be $1,000. But again, who knows? The LSCC director believes that he's Minister of Justice. In the Republic of Liberia, it is a Minister of Justice that is solely responsible for the prosecution of all crimes. Why do you jump over Musa Dean and the prosecutor and the Minister of Justice? That's why they are slapped or they are whipped clearly like that in the courtroom. And the Supreme Court will whip them also because the Supreme Court said, we don't have a law for inside trading. And what do? You cannot try her again for the same crime. It'll be double jeopardy.
You can't. So what is the way forward here? But first, Councillor, is this due to what I say incompetence? They don't know, or is something else that is going on here? I mean, why will you take on a case? I think that even those of us who are not lawyers, right? Even the basic law students should know this. I mean, why would they do this?
Well, a lot of things go into play. From my information, it was
You got to come forward, Councillor.
From my information, it was Musa Ability who bailed the NEC chairman out, and that they would choose to prosecute on a non-existent crime. I think it was intentional, and it was not a mistake. And then it should have gone to the Ministry of Justice, and it chose not to. So there was no intention to prosecute a real crime that had been committed. But as Councillor said, there was somebody who just took over and he wanted to show that he has teeth. And I think he received a call to say get rid of that case. It's okay, let me just go and file something and you will apply for dismissal and will be dismissed. You know, so what is the way forward? If they were serious, as Councillor said, we would have consulted with the Ministry of Justice, and the Ministry of Justice would have brought what appears to be a clear-cut case, prima facie, against the chairman. But my personal investigation of that case is that there are bigger hands into that case. Those boys were not just acting on their own. And whilst the chairman will be pretending not to know, there were powerful hands that instructed that contract be given to those boys. As you know, Elections Commission was reconstituted by the president. And pretty soon we'll be asking for electoral reforms before the elections will go proper. David Brown had a prior relationship with the president, and they would not announce about it when she was nominated. So the president is fully acquainted with those two brothers because of the prior relationship. So it's my information that he instructed them to give the contract to those two brothers. And people in the Elections Commission who knowing fully well of the relationship of the president with those boys, and that the president gave the instructions, they went ahead and did it without the Elections Commission chairman knowing. That is my information. Whether she didn't peruse the papers or the procurement process doesn't pass through her, or if she would have seen her brothers connected, she would have said no or turned a blind eye. I haven't gotten that much information, but that is the underlying factors that influence that case, to the extent that Musa Berete had to be the one bailing her out, and the case just died after the first hearing.
Wow. Well, it's kind of Anyway, that's a personal investigation, so I'm not sure. But well, Councillor, so how do we move forward again? Can this case, can the LCC go back and say, okay, let's go through the Justice Ministry and charge her with the correct crime? Would that work, or you can't do it anymore?
They have announced appeal and one thing they've done, but they lost that opportunity to be able to do that. If they went to the Supreme Court and the court ruled against them, that would be the end. Look, the other thing I heard is that somebody wanted David Etta Brown to be removed from the Election Commission. And they have offered her means to either be removed or follow a deal that she and the rest of the commissioners will box out a result for 2023. The other, I think there's 7, right? The other 6 commissioners, I understand, were in line and agreeing with being able to do what Ellen Johnson Sirleaf did in 2017, print out almost 950,000 extra ballot and distribute them in all of the counties that could have made Mr. Weir to win. But David Etta Brown said, no, I don't want to be involved in that kind of thing. I want the thing to be fair. We can't vote based upon who won. My understanding is that they also they threaten her and say, if you become a stumbling block to what we're looking for, then we'll move you. And we'll do so by disgracing you. Even though the 2 brothers are not strange to the government and to higher ups, it came about that giving the contract, as Councillor said, was done to be able to disgrace her. They were trying to put her in jail and scare her. And then they were trying to drag her name through the system that the civil society would say, oh, the woman is corrupt. We can't keep her chairman. And then they will replace her by a crook, somebody who is a crook, who basically was caught in reprocessing the voter machine at the Election Commission, who is currently one of the member of the
Commissioners.
Commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
He was also replaced her or somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the hurry was there. I don't believe that what he named Martin, who was counting 20 for 2, 3, 4 years, did not understand that the law did not exist. He must be very stupid as a lawyer to believe that you can bring somebody to court on something that doesn't exist. There's no law to support you. But because the pressure was there, so they went to court. And David Brown hired people to file a motion. And the motion, legally, the motion is a strong motion. If you don't have law to charge somebody, you can't bring them to court. And I've guessed they thought that she would resign. I thought she was arrested. She would resign, and they will put somebody there who would basically count the vote. But that's what the situation looks like.
So
I just like to add, because again, we did an investigation. We even issued a release to buttress what Councillor just said. Commissioner Cllr used to be the head of the ADP department. Those who handle the electronic database and all of that kind of thing. And just as Councillor referenced the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf elections, he was key to manipulating the results on the instructions of President Sirleaf. So when we came, we felt this man needs more authority, and so he elevated him as a commissioner. And he had reported that David Brown was not cooperating in most of the elections they've been having. That's why it was difficult for him to manipulate the results in order that those elections would have been turned around. And so the presidential affairs minister had gone to David Etta and told her that cooperate with us and work with Commissioner Cllr to achieve our results, and we will let the case go by. And David said, no, I will not do that. Whatever you want to do, that's okay. You want to prosecute me, whatever you want to do, you go ahead. The law is there. I can defend myself. And that's how she rejected their proposal or their offer. And then they went. But interesting as the case turned out, she didn't make a deal with them, but yet the case didn't proceed. And Councilor Martin, as Councilor was saying, now I understand why he did a flimsy job. He wanted to rush something because I think they had gone to him and say, hurry up, let's do this thing. Let's get to her. And unfortunately, he didn't calculate his moves well. And he didn't behave like a detailed lawyer. And as Councilor said, the appeal will prevail. Because insider dealing is not part of the penal code.
All right. Let me bring in this whole issue of double jeopardy. I want to explain that. Charles A. King say, as long as the case has not gone through the court system, it is a Supreme Court decision. Charles is also asking when does this double jeopardy thing happen? And his last thing, which I want us to close with, is there's a case that he pointed out. He said in the Waller versus Waller, the Supreme Court defined the opportunity to be heard. So let's speak to that to kind of wrap up on this issue.
Well, look, double jeopardy would attach if this matter goes to the Supreme Court and the appeal is sustained. You can bring Director Brown back to court on the factual situation that took her to court. Or if the government chose not to appeal, perfect the appeal, and they say, okay, we'll go back and bring economic sabotage. You can't do that either because the factual situation will be very similar that caused the case to be dismissed. Mind you, the case was dismissed not on a merit, but on the legal strength of whether inside trading is part of the Liberian Penal Code. And when the answer is no, the other question that the defense lawyer asks the court to pass on is, can you prosecute anyone in Liberia on a charge that doesn't exist, or on a matter that should be handled by a civil agency or government and not a criminal court? So the court said, on all of the counts, we could see has no jurisdiction. We can't prosecute her because the law doesn't exist. We can, allow the indictment to stand because it is within the jurisdiction or the authority of this agency or government that is not yet established. And you can't force it on us. We would not agree. Right. So as it is, the government has, if you run faster than what it is required, you will lose. Director Brown may remain at the Election Commission and not being removed because you can't convict her.
And Charles also said the case has not gone to court yet, so how is it double jeopardy?
The case is in court.
So double jeopardy, because I remember growing up, we used to say, first we'll go in court. So if they steal you something and you sell something, you can. So double jeopardy is almost closer to.
No, incorrect, Charles. The case is already in court.
Okay.
The LACC got an indictment. The LACC were able to ask the court to get a writ of arrest. Director Brown were arrested. Director Brown were brought to court. Director Brown filed a bond. Right after that, Director Brown and her lawyer filed a motion to dismiss the entire case. So if the government does not follow up with the appeal, the case is done. The government follow up with the appeal and the Supreme Court say you are here wrongly, the case is also done.
Thank you.
I like
Councilor,
to like
let's
the,
wrap up. Go ahead.
yeah. Let me maybe my word will wrap it up. Double jeopardy means that put in danger or the peril of losing your liberty twice. And if the case is not tried, in my opinion, on its merits, then double jeopardy will not hold. But it has to be tried. You have to go through the process. You are charged, you plead not guilty or guilty, and then it goes through up to the point of reaching to the Supreme Court. And then they have to bring that same thing, maybe the same sets of facts, they exist, but it depends on what happened in the court. Did the court test your sincerity in saying you're not guilty, or the court did not? If the court didn't have that opportunity to test your sincerity in saying you're guilty or not guilty, I think double jeopardy will not lie in that instance. As in this case, she didn't, I don't even know if she pled to the charge.
No,
Even
she did not get up.
she didn't get up, and so she didn't have the time to do that. So she could be charged again on an existing charge and not the current insider dealing trial. And insider dealing normally works, like Councilor said, is more of a civil nature on dishonesty, and it works within the corporate structure of big businesses in the USA and other places where people are there and dealing otherwise. But I don't know how they came up with that, because it doesn't even resemble insider trading.
Thank you. So you agree with Charles that this is not double jeopardy?
If that's what he said, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think double jeopardy will lie.
Let's go to our next issue here. The current political leader of Unity Party, Mr. Joseph Newman Boakai, said that if the Unity Party candidate is not on the ballot, there will be no senatorial by-election in Lofa County. I want us to look at this statement because, especially down the road, is this part of free speech? Is this a threat? Can JNB be called upon for this statement? Or let's say if they went to the Lofa County election and there was any disturbance, can he be liable? Councilor Jayweh, you start.
This is free speech. In order to invite JNB and investigate him for any crime, perhaps incitement, you got to have more than what he said. You got to have that maybe discussions are going on now between him and the traditional leaders in Lofa County, the youth group in Lofa County, the women group in Lofa County, people that he could have swayed upon, power over, and that the discussion led him to make the statement that if UP Kennedy is not on the ticket, there will be no election in Lofa County. But that statement standing alone without additional facts to say that he's threatening the national security. You may decide to invite him, but you will not get anything more than that if you wish to indict him. Now, having said that, if I were a member of the Unity Party and a lawyer on the legal team, I would have advised Ambassador Boakai to refrain from making statements that could have political consequences for his very candidate. Because, Liberia is a very bad place. It's a place where most of our leaders tend to be criminals. It's a place where people can plant group of people that could cause chaos in Lofa County that may not have anything to do with Joseph Boakai at all. And because it's a political season, he can go ahead and arrest him. I would have not, I would ask him not to make such a statement. I would have said, wait for the Supreme Court decision and not make a statement that would look like you threaten the peace of the country.
But normally when someone issues a threat, they look at whether he has the capability or he has the power. Mr. Boakai, being a former vice president and commanding probably the second largest opposition, the second largest party in the country, it seems that, and then he was voted by Lofa County overwhelmingly. It seems that he has a sway over the county, and so whatever he says has weight. So it means he is capable, if I'm correct, to incite disturbance during the by-election. So if he's called today, would it be infringing on his right to speak, to free speech, Councillor Verdier?
Well, Councillor properly said that is an exercise in free speech. You remember when Menepaka Des Moines made a statement that the people of Liberia do not need rice, they need AK-47. And the Ministry of Justice decided to invite him. I don't know whether or not they had other intentions, but I communicated with them and said, look, what that young man said is just an exercise in free speech. And if you say it constitutes a threat, speech is not a threat until it is actionable. The person who is making a speech has to take an action to back or support what he has uttered. And there could be examples to that. Somebody who stand on Broad Street and say, I will assassinate George Weah tomorrow, or I will assassinate George Weah next year. The government, as you know, is the biggest institution. It has control of the security apparatus. The government has magnificent power. It's bigger than one person. The government can control almost everything in the country. So it will be the government against that one individual who issued a threat just by saying something. So the law doesn't require the government to act just on what the person said. But if the person goes beyond that and try to put a threat, so to speak, into action, and government knows that and become aware of that, then government can take actions or measures to thwart the threat and then hold the person liable. But to just stand on Broad Street and say, I will kill anybody. I think Donald Trump made a statement like that, right? That he can go in the street and you shoot somebody and nothing will happen to him. Did he shoot anybody? No, he didn't. Did he cause chaos? Was there any preparation for chaos? No.
So, Councillor, what will go beyond the threat look like for Mr. Boakai's statement?
Okay. Mr. Boakai exercise with free speech. Firstly, I suppose Councillor is giving a cautious
We're losing you again.
I said, firstly, I suppose such radical actions in society already.
Yeah.
I was saying.
Okay, get it now.
I was saying, I suppose such radical action because our society needs it. Following the situation, I don't see any reason why they would want to exclude the Unity Party from the elections. And so I know Boakai or Honorable Boakai standing on that authority or knowledge to issue, went ahead to issue that warning that if the Unity Party is not in the elections will not go ahead. The only way to test that is to exclude the Unity Party. And if you exclude Unity Party and you see VP Boakai taking actions, organizing people, having meetings to resist authority, then you see he has added something or he has put his words into action. But until that point, it is just free speech. You cannot bother him. You can't do anything with it. He was exercised, but Chancellor was saying for the political environment, it would be good for him to be cautious. Because any group of people can get together and say, Boycott to us, say, let's go and do this. Let's go and do that. And then they will have a cause to go after him. So that is caution, which is warranted. But there are two things involved. There's no strong legal reason to stop the UP, as he said it for the Supreme Court. And then secondly, it was just his opinion as the leader of the second largest political party. You can't stop him from expressing.
So if there were a riot during the elections, let's say we have the by-election in Lofa this month, Unity Party is not on the ballot, and there is a riot, can Honorable Barker be held accountable and also call for questioning? Can he be liable for that riot? Say because Barker says so.
Well, you are a prosecutor, you have to prove the connection between the riot and his statement. So there's a lot of things the prosecutor will have to do instead of just relying on the mere statement that he made. You have to prove the relationship between his statement and the actions that occur afterwards. And then government, who has the authority and security to prevent any violence from occurring in a particular situation that is destructive.
Councillor Jayweh, let's conclude on this.
Yeah, for me, I don't see any reason why Unity Party candidate in Lofa County is being excluded. Liberia is a small place. We had confusion. We had almost 300,000 people who were killed, or 250,000, as some people put it. If you follow, I think it was on Wednesday, all the noise Musa Belete have been making. Justice Wolokoli had a petition for prohibition. And I read from Daily Observer today that the refusability to have the Liberty Party constitution withdrawn, reworked, and refiled was ordered. They would give us 72 hours to withdraw the Liberty Party constitution and rework it and refile it. I'm mentioning this to say that it is the same Belete who is a member of a political party who filed a bond for
Deviator Brown.
It is the same Belete who drove Deviator Brown from his house to the courtroom.
Are these facts? Is it,
These are things that he boasted about. These are things that were done in the court openly.
It was reported in the newspaper and he didn't refute it.
So how can a political party leader drive the chairman of the National Election Commission, get bond for her? In fact, he's a surety on the bond. He's a surety. How can that happen? And then everything Belete says at the Election Commission is law and gospel. Today, CPP is going to the Supreme Court because of the same attitude of the Election Commission. There really need to be election reform. There really need to be people who are nationalistic on the national election team, not capitalistic, not people who can't tell how much money comes to them. Other than that, Liberia is going into another mess again.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's go still on VP Boakai. The former vice president has been subpoenaed by the Monrovia City Court to testify in the ongoing forgery and criminal conspiracy case against the political leader of the ANC, Mr. Cummings, and his colleagues. I think we all know the case. Does the vice president or the former vice president have the right to refuse it and say, "Oh, I'm not coming, I'm going to send statement," or is he compelled to go? That's my first question.
Did you say a subpoena?
Yeah, subpoena.
He doesn't have the option. He'll go to court. So when you are subpoena, The other thing I don't understand is that I don't know why a bunch of subpoenas are flying all over the place. To bring Yobli Kanga to call you subpoena her. To bring Joseph Boakai to call you subpoena him. To bring Elisha To to call you subpoena him. There's another woman called Wale Power to bring her to call you subpoena. Why all these subpoena? If these people are your witnesses, they come to court without any order from the court. They come to court voluntarily and testify for you. But again, I have said that when you have a case of this nature and the lawyers that are involved, a good number that are pretty inexperienced, you got another lawyer on the other side who think that he can play the game all around. Look, the Solicitor General has caused 34 subpoenas to be issued to people to come to court, including Joseph Boakai. So Ambassador Boakai could come to court with all of the drama.
Oh, wait a minute. So these subpoena are coming. These are your own witnesses, right?
Yeah. So these are all witnesses for the state. 34.
Yeah. So what's the reason behind the subpoena? They may likely not come if you don't subpoena them?
Well, no, you got to state the reason if you want a subpoena. All they said was that Joseph Boakai would testify to a portion of how the document was altered. When he finished, then he go. While the power will come and testify to a certain thing, and then she goes. 34 witnesses, subpoena for the state.
34. That's
34.
a record.
One of them just Gloria Mususka, Chief Justice Gloria Mususka, was just drop off the list. Maybe they are 33 now. But if you sit in the courtroom as a defense counsel and you watch the prosecution asking for subpoena for about 34 witnesses, and you allow the prayer to go through, and the court grants those subpoenas, and the subpoena are issued, you into a long run.
That's
because you know what the intention of the case is to ensure that Cummings does not participate in the 2023 election. Because by the time they get through wasting time on 34 witnesses, because mind you, each of the witnesses will testify, they will be cross-examined. And knowing the Solicitor General, who maybe knows something about criminal law a little bit, can bring the witness back on the redirect. So you had 34 times 2. When will the case finish? After 2023?
Well, so this subpoena, and I was going to ask the question on especially VP Boakai. So he's going to be cross-examined by his own lawyer, by the state lawyer, or by the defense lawyer. Who's going to do that cross-examination?
So all of the 34 witnesses are witnesses for the state. They will all be directed, not re-examined, not cross-examined. They will all be asked friendly question or question that a lawyer that your witness, you ask your witness of those legal questions. But then when each of the 34 is done, Cummings lawyer will have to ask them questions, which is the cross-examination. Okay. After Cummings lawyers are done, and if the prosecution know what to do completely, they will bring back all the witnesses on the redirect.
Councilor Fredia, you are laughing.
I'm suspicious about the subpoena. Is it an abuse of the judicial process?
Of course.
What purpose would the subpoenas
of course
achieve? Your witnesses should come willingly to court, and they are in the country, they're not out of the country.
Yeah.
And you have not proven in court that they are hostile to you or your cause. And I'm sure at the time you were filing your case, you didn't identify them as key witnesses. So why would you want the court to do for you what you should have done to yourself? That's just abuse of process. And then I heard Councilor saying, and that could be probably the reason to delay this case until the 2023 elections are over.
But you know, let me add, Dennis. My only fear is that Mr. Cummings had too many or too inexperienced lawyers
Exactly.
who are on the witness, who are sitting there in court and sleeping, literally sleeping. Why would
Yeah.
I, as a trial lawyer, sit in court and have the prosecution subpoena its own witness? What is the purpose for that? To
Exactly.
delay.
And his
Because
lawyers are sitting right there.
correct, to delay. That's first thing. Secondly, when you bring those 34 witnesses, what are they going to distinctly and specifically speak about? And why would I sit and don't object to each of them and make the case why 34 witnesses, 4 instead of 34 witnesses, can solve or not
Exactly.
solve this case?
Yeah, just 4 witnesses will be sufficient.
Look, let me tell you something. When Mr. Cummings was about to travel to the United States, the Solicitor General made a lot of noise about it. For a long paper, the magistrate court granted Mr. Cummings the right to leave the country. The Solicitor General went to Criminal Court A on a what they call summarization, summarize the magistrate. One of the things the Solicitor, among the many things you're asking for, the Solicitor General said, Mr. Cummings should show to the court where part of the United States he's going. He should show to the court how many people he will visit. He should show to the court his ticket, what plane he will fly from Liberia to Ghana on. He should show to the court what plane will bring him back. He should show to the court that he actually traveling, and so these documents should be to convince the court. The Cummings lawyer then sat there and said, okay, in order for us to let Mr. Cummings to go, we will produce the document. Oh my goodness. By the time you do that, the Solicitor General has a wide open door.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, you heard that Mr. Cummings was allowed to go. Mr. Cummings was allowed to go because his lawyer agreed with the Solicitor General that he will show his ticket, that he will show the person he go and visit, that he will see the plane, he will say the plane he fly on, the plane number, he will give the seat number and all that kind of stuff. And then they come back, the Solicitor General left that. And now he said, oh, I have 34 witnesses. I will subpoena all of them.
And I want to know what passport you travel on.
Yeah. So until Mr. Cummings rethink his strategy and find actual criminal lawyers and experienced lawyers to represent him, he may not take part in 2023.
That's a strong one.
If you don't believe it, I'm running some guy. Because if they convict him, he will become legally disabled.
People say that's misdemeanor, right? So it can.
Oh, it's 1 year. It's a crime.
Oh, one year.
Yeah. If you are convicted, you go to jail for 1 year.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, we are discussing trending legal issues in Liberia on the FOL Justice Forum. If you want to join the conversation, please call the number on the screen, 605-313-6004. The code is 791403. Councilor Brother, I don't know, somebody will ask you, this really looks funny to you. Is it strange? You keep laughing like as if the people don't know what they're doing.
That's what it appears like. And I feel sorry for Cummings, Honorable Cummings, because he's not being properly represented.
No.
And his lawyers, I don't know who they are, but I can really easily say that his representation is not adequate. And it's unfortunate that they do not see where the Solicitor General is going. And they should try to arrest that from the very beginning. And he's having a free show. That's why upon the return of Cummings, he said, I want to see your passport.
Yeah.
I mean, where is it coming from? And that aside, he goes to court and says, I want to call 100 witnesses.
Yeah.
Who calls 100 witnesses in a simple case like that? And then I think it's a misdemeanor out of the first or the second.
It's a second, so 1 year.
1 year. You know, and they are there and not putting up an incredible objection. And they could arrest that case too by filing remedial actions that would bring the Solicitor General into check.
Yeah.
You know, malicious prosecution. Of course, we want to wait and see what happens for the process. He's laying the basis. You know, and as Councilor said, it's just meant to stop him from taking part in the elections. And by the time he gets through with 30 witnesses, the elections will be over. Yeah.
And
The elections will be over.
And they're going to ask him, which soup you eat today?
Yeah.
Yeah. Your mind went to visit. Is she okay? Want to see her medical report? How long has she been suffering that malady?
Mr. Cummings said took a video with him standing at the head of his mother bed. What was that all about? To show the prosecution that you were visiting your mom?
Exactly.
Why is that?
Nonsense.
And as Councilor said, unless Mr. Cummings reshuffle his legal team, they will drive him from left to right, north to south, until finally they will convict him in early 2023. And then he will become a legally disabled person. And he will not participate.
And that's why I'm laughing, Dennis. It's so simple. We just sitting and hearing the basic fact. We know where it's going and where this guy is leading the whole thing. And unfortunately, they are there. They cannot do anything. They appear as if they are helpless. That's why it becomes laughable.
Look at the other thing the Solicitor General did. The Solicitor General know that Liberia had no jurisdiction over WhatsApp. He made a motion to subpoena WhatsApp to come to court and show all of the messages. WhatsApp does not live in Liberia. WhatsApp authority in the United States or somewhere. They don't even believe in your system, so why would they come to your court?
Oh, was it WhatsApp? I mean, they use the WhatsApp messages. They wanted WhatsApp to come to court, or
yeah, to come to court and verify whether the messages were true.
And does he even know that? No, I didn't read that. But let me bring in one of our callers. Let's see let's see where they're coming from as well. Caller, you're live. Your name and where you're calling from. Hold on 1 minute, caller. Let me go ahead, caller. Your name and where you're calling from.
Thank you so much, Mr. John. This is Elvis. I'm calling from Minnesota. Quickly, I want to ask the panelists some questions. The first question is just for clarity. I want to know what specialty does Councilor Verdier specialize in, and then for Councilor Jayweh, is he a criminal defense lawyer or a constitutional lawyer? I don't know if that's a thing, but I just want to know if they specialize in general criminal law, defendant, or any kind of specialty that they have. So they'll go to school for business law or civil law. I don't know, but maybe they can answer that after I ask my questions. And then secondly, to these different cases, for example, with the Solicitor General, what remedy would a defendant have if they feel like there's been, judicial malpractice on the part of the government, in the personal serenity? Is there a arbitrary body, an independent body that they can go to seek redress? Because it seems, at least on the face of it, that there's been a lot of malpractice on the part of the Solicitor General. So is there some kind of, appeal that they can take while this trial is going on, or do they have to go through the entire process and then maybe file an appeal after, the verdict has been reached? And then also, is there some, in my layman's term, am I missing something about a speedy trial? Because it seems like the government is trying to drag this on until after the election. I think Councilor Jayweh kind of alluded to that. Is there a way that they can file maybe a motion for a speedier trial to try to get this settled before, the election time is near, which Alex Cummings will be at a disadvantage? Thank you so much for taking my call. I appreciate it. I know there's a lot of questions, so maybe you guys can break it down. Thank you again.
Thank you, Elvis. So Elvis want to know your area of concentration in law. Also, what can be done to keep the SG in check? Who said that when you finish with Cummings in this case, you go teach to GW Gibson? I don't know what happened to what's wrong with being a GW Gibson.
Maybe he graduated from there.
Because for me my dream job is to be a principal at Sino High. So I don't know what's wrong with teaching at high school. So yeah, and he also is also checking if there's a way to call for speedy trial. So any one of you can chime in, please.
Under the Constitution, fair trial means speedy trial. You shouldn't delay a trial unnecessarily beyond its natural procession. So when those tactics are employed, you know that your rights are being violated and you may not enjoy the benefit of speedy trial. I'm a lawyer, a general practitioner. I have focused on, the question is not necessary, but I will answer for the benefit of the court. I have focused on human rights and related public interest matters. And during my master's, I didn't focus on the whole thing about corporate law and business law and all of that. I focused on public interest. And both of us are qualified to discuss the matters we are discussing because we have had years of experience. Cllr Jayweh is my senior. Cllr Jayweh was a child trial judge before. Cllr Jayweh has had years of practice in civil and human rights matters, even here in the United States. So our competence is beyond question to address the issues that we are addressing, or any issue regarding Liberian laws. And Cllr Jayweh is an expert in Liberian law in all directions or dimensions.
Thank you. Councilor Jayweh, let's look at what can be done to rein in the SG. And also, is there a way to hurry this thing up because election is coming and it's dragging on beyond? And what can they do?
First thing I would think is a common issue. We shop for a legal term. I'm being very blunt because some of the attitude and action of the SG could easily be corrected by the justice in chambers. But you must first lay the foundation in the code below. You must, for example, object to a subpoena being issued to bring your own witnesses to court. That's the first thing you must do. Secondly, the number of witnesses that are being named, that are being subpoenaed, are meant to clearly baffle and create injustice in the entire trial. So when the magistrate rules on those counts and you disagree with the ruling of the magistrate, you can then go to Code A, which has jurisdiction, or the magistrate court, and correction will be made, and the SG will be pretty much warned to stay within the orbit of the law. Instead of making statements like you're going to TGW Gibson, we want the case to, subpoena people from everywhere, including WhatsApp. The trial judge, the sitting judge in Code A, will actually put him into check. If Mr. Cummings doesn't get any redress there, a sanctuary can be filed before the justice in chamber, because the justices in the Supreme Court are concerned that matters are speedily heard and party litigants, their rights are respected. As it is, Mr. Cummings cannot run to the judge all by himself without a lawyer laying the foundation. I don't think they're doing that. I think they are following the role as the SG leads the role.
Yeah. So
and the SG let me just piggyback. The SG made some prejudicial public statements that should warrant why he should be removed from the case and not to continue. And the lawyers can even go on that. And maybe somebody, the Ministry of Justice has a pool of prosecutors who could carry on that case. And the SG jumped in for a particular interest and he's exhibiting it. Nobody needs to say it for him.
So two things happened during this trial. The SG and the prosecuting lawyer said they admitted to extracting some of the text messages from the WhatsApp exchange of the CPP leadership. They admitted that it was a mistake. Two, there's now a back and forth between the SG and the Attorney General. Can those be grounds for saying, we don't want the SG?
I think, go ahead.
Okay, Counselor. Well, on the issue of extracting evidence, that is judicial malpractice. It's unethical. And if he has done that, for a speedy trial, the Cummings team can be tactical. Instead of running around without any objective on that one issue, just ask that the texts that were extracted to be included in a body of evidence that is presented. And then you cut down all that long thing. Or you institute a process against him if you are hopeful that it's sufficient to remove him from the team. If anything, I think that's what the defense should be pursuing, because this guy is railroading the case. And the way he is going, just from counsels, just sitting here, we know straight where it's going. And I agree. That case will be running when elections are over. They will be announcing the results, and that case will still be it's going. That is not fair. That is not a free and fair trial.
Thank you. And Yangwe Boma, who is a ANC guy, saying, is Mr. Jayweh suggesting that Mr. Cummings' lawyer are not objecting? Far from the truth. The presiding judge has consistently approved the prosecution request for additional witnesses despite numerous objections from Cummings' lawyers.
Let me add, even if the magistrate rule against your objection, you got a responsibility to file a summary proceeding against a magistrate before Court A. Have they done that? No. So if the magistrate rule you don't do anything, then you will follow the Solicitor General. I mean, if you were to ask me, quite frankly, these guys are incapable.
Thank you. Let me bring in one more caller here. That's Anthony Gay. He's on the ANC communication team. Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Jaa. But you asked two other questions I wanted to ask. But
That's what made me a very good journalist, my man. I read your mind.
No, you asked the question about the extraction of the evidence that they admitted to. You also asked the question about, the Solicitor General, talking about the thing was crushed. Now, here's my question to the two, legal minds. First of all, my respect to you guys. I'm hoping one day I'll go to law school because I admire the institution. So yes, my question to you, Mr. Councilor Jayweh. Jayweh, I'm sorry, I'm saying your name wrong. The Solicitor General was also made a comment that one of the key witnesses was ill, and that key witness, that very same day, was seen at neck. Another thing also, the prosecutor, the SG himself also said that, Mr. Cummings would go to jail, and, he had insurmountable evidence that would take Mr. Cummings to jail, and you would like for Mr. Cummings to actually, do community service when the case has not been adjudicated or Mr. Cummings has not been found guilty. Do you see any kind of prosecutorial, misconduct in that sense?
And to answer your question, no lawyer should be making such a statement. It is absolute malpractice. But my contention still is that completing this SG to the higher court to discipline him. But if he says something, he says that you go ahead as a lawyer and do a press release, you're not addressing the issue. Is it necessary to subpoena 34 witnesses in a case of this nature? And if the judge ruled against the lawyers, what did they do after that ruling. And whether ANC believes or not, whether the Liberian people believe or not, if this case continues the way it's going, we enter 2023 and we still be in the process. Between May, we in May now. Between January to May, Mr. Cummings, if he's convicted, he'll be declared legally disabled. And until he said, go ahead. What did he say?
One last question here has to do with
Anthony. Who gave you the right to interrupt my panelists?
But here's the thing. The Attorney General of the nation and the Justice Minister put out a statement, and Mr. Jah has that statement in his possession, and I think he can, put it up there so you guys can respond to that. That he's asking for evidence 4 months after the case has been in court. What does it say to you, Councilor Jayweh, about the Justice Minister?
I wrote on it when I saw that. The Justice Minister, by law, is responsible for the prosecution of all cases. So the Solicitor General will have to consult the Minister of Justice on criminal cases.
Correct.
But what is interesting is that the very minister who is coming to the public and say that Section 22.2 of the executive law gives him the power to ask the Solicitor General to bring to his office all pieces of evidence that he had. What happened when the raid was issued? The Justice Minister was supposed to sit with the Solicitor General or requested the Solicitor General when the raid was issued to come to court, come to his office and produce the evidence before the prosecutions continue. Or he on his own could have filed a motion to dismiss the raid. Did he do that? No, he sat down almost 5 months. Then he goes to the press and says, I want all the evidence. Guess what the Solicitor General did? The Solicitor General lied and said that the Minister of Justice, the first time I issued the raid was quashed.
Squash it.
That's what I mean by quash. He said the raid was quashed. And the Minister of Justice then came out to me and said, go issue that same raid. When you quash the raid, it's not quashed in the Ministry of Justice. The quashing of the raid is done by order of court. So when you make the application to set the raid aside, the magistrate will have to make a ruling. Where's that ruling? It's not right. The Solicitor General lied.
So let's look at this statement and then we can talk about it just in 2 minutes. The Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Republic of Liberia has directed the Solicitor General Serena Cephas to furnish his office with the proper evidence which provides the basis for the prosecution of the Alexander B. Cummings and others, of Alex B. Cummings and others. The minister's directive is consistent with Section 22.2 of the Executive Law, which state that it shall be the duty of the Minister of Justice to procure the proper evidence for and conduct, prosecute, or defend all suits and proceedings in the courts in which the Republic of Liberia or any officer thereof has to such officer is a party may be interested. Councilor Verdia, is that surprising again?
No, you just read a legal document, and which I heard about. But when the law says the Ministry of Justice, it doesn't mean the Minister of Justice in particular. It means the Ministry of Justice as an entity, meaning all its functionaries and attorneys and prosecutors, anybody who is authorized. But the Minister of Justice has the ultimate authority to discontinue a lawsuit, which is criminal, against any defendant. But sometimes one of my colleagues, I'm always bringing politics into these things. The politics is important. The politics control most of what our political officers do. Councillor Musa Deng is a good lawyer. We know him. We practice with him. And the post he holds is a slot allotted to President Salif. President Salif appointed him to that position or nominated him and said, this is the person I want to be there. When he wanted to resign, at some point in time, President Salif said, no, you stay there, you protect my interests at the Ministry of Justice. We all know that Cummings didn't come to politics on his own. President Salif brought him into politics. Now, Weah and Salif are in this thing about Cummings. When the case went to court, Weah told the Solicitor General, go there with this mandate. So, when the Solicitor General was brought on the case, he wasn't brought on by the Minister of Justice, the Attorney General. No. He was directed by the President to take on the case. So the Solicitor General feels he gets the mandate to prosecute that case from the President and not his boss. And so he's behaving in the way he's behaving in this particular case, based upon that. So as it is, he doesn't want to agree with the Attorney General. And the Attorney General has clearly stated by what we have read, how he sat down all this time with it. So say, well, is that my case? Is that me who appointed him? But to draw the Attorney General in, he says the case was quashed, which is a lie. And the Attorney General ordered the case to be continued, which means that, Mr. Attorney General, you should have authority over every case that comes to this ministry. So the Attorney General said, okay, I will respond by issuing this release from now on. I'm beginning now, bring all the evidence to me. I will examine this particular case and I will use the authority that you say I have. And it's impossible for the Attorney General to know every case before it goes to court. So I think he's referring to political cases that is something within the ministry to handle, or cases of a particular nature, something like that. But that is the politics. Weah is complaining that any Justice Salif is not supporting him and or promoting him in the West. Instead, it is Alexander Cummings who is getting all the attention in the West, going and raising funds and meeting with dignitaries in the U.S. government system. And while he is there, he cannot even get an invitation to visit the White House. You know, so that's where the infighting is coming from. What can we do? The most we can say is that the interests and the rights of party litigants ought to be protected at all times. And that's the essence of justice. Not to prosecute or to favor somebody, but to arrive at the truth and let justice be done.
Thank you. Elvis is asking you that what you just said is strong. Can you prove it?
Who is he that I should prove it to? Is he a court?
No.
Okay.
Tobasi say the Attorney General Frank Musadin doesn't. So the Attorney General Frank Musadin doesn't know about the Cummings and Ure cases and the Solicitor General prosecution of said case, folks. Attorney General Frank Musadin is the supervisor of the Solicitor General. So why is he embarrassing the government and people of Liberia in such manner?
No, let me just add though. The Attorney General has complained that the Solicitor General is running his own Ministry of Justice.
Yeah, parallel Ministry of Justice.
Yeah, and the Solicitor General has said that the President pro tem, not President pro tem, the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs has told him to prosecute certain cases. But if anybody don't see the politics in there, you got a problem. The thing I said is that why would Musadin come out this late when 34 witnesses have been subpoenaed? This case, only one witness had taken the witness stand. One. When the case started. And the Solicitor General also started to subpoena the National Election Commission people to come to court. Maybe the next time we'll subpoena people from Maryland. We'll subpoena people from Lofa County. We'll subpoena Liberian diaspora. The global team, you'll subpoena them.
But he's ready to subpoena WhatsApp.
So only the higher court can correct the Solicitor General. and advise him to proceed, or he will run into trouble. His license will be yanked away from him. He will be unable to practice law, which I don't think he wants to do. But again, as Councilor said, Solicitor General does not care because the president said, bring as many witnesses as possible.
Thank you. Mr. Charles Ebu King said, Mr. Jar, later, please let your guests know about my background, just to let them know that I'm a former Deputy Director of Police, CID Affairs, who has taught constitutional law at the Police Academy and also started the first criminal justice program at the AME Zion Community College in Liberia and was the first dean. I established that program, but was never given credit for it. So he was the one who was asking about the double jeopardy. First, we'll go in court. The way that's the hours understood. We still have one caller here. Evis has come back. Evis, you.
Thank you again, Mr.
Yeah, go quickly because we have another caller since this is your second time.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to call back and again to Chancellor Verdier. I just want to say quickly, amongst all the TRC commissioner, I really respect you. I thought you held yourself well. You were respectful to all of the witnesses, and I really admire you during that process. But you made a statement previously, and I mentioned it on this show, on another show, and everybody was kind of questioning me, and I just kind of want to bring it back up. You earlier said, I think on this platform or another platform, that Serena Cephas was in one of your reports as being a G2 commander in the Maryland area, you know, doing one of your investigations, and that's why he shouldn't have never held that position as the SG of the country. If you can kind of just talk about that again, and then to the statements that you just made earlier about, you know, Ellen Johnson and President Weir, again, like Mr. John asked, I'm just a simple Liberian. I'm not anybody, but we want to engage you on this platform. That's why we ask some of the questions that we're asking is not to, you know, question you. We just want to get more information about it. So if you can speak to that, we appreciate it. Thank you so much, Chancellor Verdi. I appreciate your time on the show.
Okay, my brother, thank you. I think Mr. Jai referred to the court asking for proof. That's why I asked, is he the court? Who is he that he's entitled to prove? I'm a lawyer and I'm a civil society activist. I go out of my way to investigate every issue that matters, and we collect information. And what we say is based upon facts, upon truth. Some things we say, for example, I didn't come tonight to appear to address the questions that I've been raising. So even if I had a proof, I wouldn't have had it. And it depends on what is proof and what is the location. But what I say is true, and I stand on my honor.
Thank you.
Back everything that I say. You know, and Mr. King, I heard of the criminal justice program at Zion. I think that's when I heard Mr. King's name. And when the questions were being asked, double jeopardy, I felt that it was somebody who had some inkling or knowledge of the law. That's why they asked that question. And about Serena Cephas, if you read the TRC report said that the TRC didn't have time to document all the cases that came or to release a complete report on everything is investigated. And one of the recommendations of the TRC was for continuing investigation. And from where I sit, we have continued to investigate a lot of matters. Okay? And matters that are within the ambit of the TRC, even matters that bear on civil society, crimes against humanity, but were not within the TRC. For example, the death of these Greaves. I was in Liberia, we investigated the death of Harry Greaves and we documented it. The TRC authorized civil society to take control of the TRC process, which includes continuing investigations into matters that were not investigated or have not been concluded. And ECOWAS too has moral guardians, ECOWAS, the US, AU, were asked to also take notice. So the matters of the TRC are still within the public domain until government begins to implement them. Until that time, investigations are possible. And it is in that process that we gathered, okay, that the Solicitor General was a G2 commander in Maryland County. The things he did there, the persons he affiliated with, and all of them were documented.
Thank you. Honorable William K. Glay is watching. Thank you, Honorable, for watching. Let's get another caller on the line. And caller, your name and where you calling from.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. Great show. My name is Yankoi Bowman. Thank you for the show. Great show and great conversation, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I'm enjoying it from my corner here. I just wanted to add here that Councilor Jayweh is, I think he's insinuating that the ANC lawyers or Mr. Cummings lawyers are not doing what they are supposed to do as lawyers. I think I beg to differ from that. Maybe he will agree that this is not a real legal case that we all know it as it should be. This is a political case. And if you recall, there has been some motion that we have filed, that the ANC lawyers have filed to the upper court, only to be shut down back to the lower court. So I don't think they are there not responding to motions or not objecting. They are doing those things, but what do you do when this case is a political case and the judges are going to consistently rule against you? They can only do what they have to do. They are doing their best against an establishment that is poised to make sure that Mr. Cummings is convicted. So I don't think we should put the onus on the lawyers that they are not doing what they're supposed to do. I believe they are. But given the political nature of this case, they are constrained. They can only do so much, and even if they do, their motion or objection will be overruled. So I just wanted to throw that in there. They are working hard. I think they deserve to get that credit. Thank you for the show, and I will hang up and listen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bowman. By the way, Mr. Bowman is part of the communication team of the ANC. Go ahead, Mr. Jayweh, if you can respond, please.
You know what? Let me still add. Are we saying that this case is a political case? So in the end, Cummings should get to be convicted? Are we saying that this case is a political case? So when documents are extracted and the magistrate and the Minister of Justice comes about and say, we did that, but we did it by mistake, it should remain at the magisterial level? Are we saying that if the objections are made to 34 subpoena, including maybe 35 would be what's up? And all of the practices that are going on, the lawyers are doing well, and the case have only produced one witness to testify. Are we joking? This case will run to 2023. Because if all of the 34 witnesses do come to court and testify, they will be directed and redirected, examined and re-examined. So it will take a lot of time for this thing to happen. If the lawyers are doing well, I would take it that they will by now have a professional complaint against the Solicitor General and his team, which is a process that could go before Mr. Justice, my good friend.
Chief Justice.
No, they will go before Chief Justice, but Justice Kabat, Mr. Justice Yusuf Kabat, we investigate the professional malpractice of the team. But my query is, if you continue to sit down and the Minister of Justice, the Solicitor General, say that we will finish with the case soon, Mr. Cummings will go teach for 1 year at G.W. Gibson, and those statements are made and not corrected, and the case remains before the magistrate court suspended. One of your callers said the Solicitor General said that the witness that to testify last week was sick, but that witness was at NEC
at the neck.
At the neck. Are those not legal malpractice for which the Solicitor General can be disciplined by the court? for which this case, he can either be ejected from the case and the case will be proceeded with. If ANC think that, what I think about ANC is that the guys are not willing to help to move their own process forward. This case has been there for almost 5 months. And witnesses are subpoenaed from all over the place. And we're saying that they're doing well. We're saying that it's political. Okay, let's agree it's political. But 2023 will bag Mr. if he's convicted. If convicted in 2023, he will be declared legally disabled. He will be unable to participate in the election because that period of the election may cover 1 year. Why is no formal complaint filed against the Solicitor General?
Thank you. Councillor Jayweh, you said, if we ignore the political side of this case, then we're joking. So let me ask you a political question.
Mm-hmm.
Why would the CPP go into this? Because it's like, as someone said, do you expect justice for the rats in the court where the cat is the judge? The CPP, knowing this, went into this issue with and sued Mr. Cummings in court. Now there's an election that is supposed to take place in Lofa County.
Mm-hmm.
The United Party, this ANC on the other end, that was victimized by this, was, by its own people, taking them to court, is now saying, even though we don't have a candidate in there, the United Party too should not have a candidate in there. So all of us sit down, we just give it to WIA. What is going on with the CPP?
Simple thing going on. Joseph Boakai wants to be the standard bearer. Mr. Alexander Cummings wants to be the standard bearer. Only Mr. Ure and Yobdi Kanga have said that they will not feed candidate. So instead of the opposition discussing themselves how they will stay together, Mr. Cummings is campaigning very hard to be the standard bearer. Joseph Boakai is campaigning very hard to be the standard bearer. None of Cummings and his people will not agree for Cummings to become vice president to Joseph Boakai. Joseph Boakai and his people will not agree for Cummings for him to become vice president to Cummings. So they are saying, okay, Cummings is saying, you do me, I do you. You took me to magistrate court. We are also going to take you to NEC. And then we'll all be dancing like that. But guess who benefit in all of this? It is the CDC government that they wish to move. It's the one that is benefiting. Guess who are calling them to go to testify by subpoena? It is CDC Solicitor General. So you would think that Mr. Cummings and Mr. Boakai and Yobdi Kanga would take upon themselves as senior people who are mature, to sit down and discuss how do we put all of this thing behind us and form a team. As long as Joseph Boakai wants to be president and think that he has the higher number of people to vote for him, as long as Mr. Cummings thinks that he has money, he can go from place to place and gather people to join a party, they will not win anything.
Councillor Valia, what do you think?
I keep my thoughts to myself.
All right.
As far as their political actions are concerned, it's up to them. They are politicians. But I would just add, the reason why political coalitions, alliances, and things fail is because they do not establish any fundamental basis for coming together. Our political parties, the pursuit, and all of that is just about the ambition, to hold public office. Everybody wants the opportunity to go and steal and get rich, if I may speak so, or be popular. There are no fundamental basis. What divides Unity Party from ANC? Can you tell me? Do you know publicly? None of us know. What's that significant difference that makes the two parties different? The only thing that is between all of them. Yeah, that just boy, Vice President Burkhardt, the Honorable Cummings, and other party, the Honorable Youngly, and other party, the Honorable Jayweh. Those are distinctions. Nothing fundamental that is holding them together. So our political parties, they're not real political parties in the true sense of the word. They are political organizations to advance the political interests of one or two persons. And just watch it. I had not been for Honorable Burkhardt, you people would have been dead. Just as when we are is gone, you people will be dead. And I had not been for Yomli and maybe Dillon and others, after Bronskin died, the other party would have been dead. What happened to TWP since 1980? I gave the CDC a little credit because we lay fundamental grounds for the establishment of a real political party. That was the intention. But unfortunately, the way it is going doesn't resemble anything that resembles a real, true political party. For now, it has become a cult. And as soon as the cult leader is out of the way, that will be the end of it.
I said
Thank you.
I said that if anybody think that the political parties in Liberia have interest in representing the Liberian people, they are missing the mark. Everyone that is attempting to run to be president is saying to himself, this will be my time. And I will have a chance to take over the entire money that Liberia raises year in, year out. You don't believe that? Look at the budget. You will see that Mrs. Salif drew a budget that said 200,000 for each of the 15 counties annually. Can 200,000 develop any country in Liberia? No, not a single political party in Liberia is talking about how they will reform the budget. Look at the president pro tem, his budget is pretty close to 2.5 million. Why? Why does he need that amount of money when the schools don't have anything? So political parties, as Councillor said, they are cults waiting for their time to make money. CDC used to throw casket all over the place. Say that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf in that casket. Is CDC not doing worse than Ellen Johnson Sirleaf? Or Equator? Yes, yes.
Thank you so much. I don't want us to drift too long, but let's conclude on witness Joseph Newman Boakai. What do we expect to happen during this cross-examination?
What do you want to conclude?
Go ahead, Councillor Verdia.
I said, what do you want to conclude? I thought it was addressed by Councillor Jayweh in your opening. A subpoena is compulsory. You have to answer it. And normally a subpoena, since you have been subpoenaed, they will state exactly why they are calling you. So you appear to the court, you're not going to talk about the time from the time you were born and how you went to Cllr and how you joined UP government and what happened there. No, there should be something specific that they want. When you go to testify, you testify to that specific issue because they are compelling you to come against your will. And anything else outside what they call you for, you can refuse to answer or to respond because that's not what they call you. So,
thank you. So let's conclude for the night. Thank you, gentlemen, very much for sharing your knowledge with us. Few more comments here. Tokpa Koye say, even from the onset, Jayweh would not have qualified to run in 2023 based on the election law at 2% threshold. Salome G. Goffan say, very true talk, Councillor Jayweh, too much greed. All of them, meaning the political parties, want to become president. Evis say, excellent point, Councillor Jayweh. Evis also say, beautiful shirt, Mr. Jar. Yeah, Evis, I put a little more money in my wardrobe, man. What are you talking about? Yanka Boma says, so, Councillor Jayweh, what is Judge Joma Jala's responsibility as a presiding judge over a case where the SG has engaged in all those prosecutorial misconduct you highlighted. The judge is in the know of CFO's action. Well, Mr. Boma is saying, let the lawyers do something. Take the man to court.
Carry him up.
Yeah.
Complain to the superior judge.
But if you always sit there and say, oh, the case is political and nothing we can do about it.
Wait until 2023.
Right. At the end of it, they will look at it and say, well, you went through the courts, and so this is legal, whatever is done to you. So, well, thank you again for coming. Let's wrap this up. We discussed 3 different issues here, legal issues in the country. Tomorrow, FOL will be on Prime FM 105.5. My guest will be Representative Roslyn Swakoko Dennis. She's been complaining about people wanting to kill her. We're going to discuss that and talk more about some legislative matters. You don't want to miss that. Join us tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, that is 9 p.m. Liberian Standard Time. I will be there. Mr. Prince Momba from Prime FM will also be there, and we will talk to Representative Swakoko Dennis. Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We have extended to Liberia, and the people there are loving it. Councillor Jayweh, Councillor Vrodia, starting with Councillor Vrodia, your parting comments on everything that we've spoken about today.
I would encourage Representative Roslyn Dennis to file a complaint to the police or the Justice Ministry. And I'd like to put a hopeful tone in everything that there's great hope for Liberia. There is a transition that is going on. Liberian people are more conscious, and we shouldn't just give up. And the people of Liberia should know that the power is in their hands, and they have the right and the power to change things. Right. President Weah has performed, and they have seen him. They are not satisfied with him. They should vote him out of office. I can tell them who to vote for. They can choose any of the other 4 opposition leaders. I believe they will do better than what President Weah is doing. So it's an opportunity for them to strengthen our democracy by having a voice, an investment in the democratic process, by going to vote and making their decisions. The elections should be monitored, and we will do our side as civil society actors to ensure that the final results of the elections represent a decision or the verdict of the Liberian people. We trust that God's hands upon his country, and Liberia will transition eventually from war to peace. Thank you, Dennis. You've been doing a good job, and I thank all of our callers who took interest to call. Their questions were very, very interesting, and I appreciate the interest they show in the case as well. I'm grateful that my colleague has been very faithful to come in. Councillor Jayweh, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Councillor Vrodia. Councillor Jayweh.
I think we, as Councillor said, we need to stay hold Liberia up high. It would know our history. There was the PRC that people were so fearful about. Mr. Doe came and Mr. Doe went, Mr. Taylor came, Mr. Taylor went. Mr. Salih came, Mr. Salih gone. We're now into the Weah era. Liberians need to do the right thing to again vote for the people who are nationalistic and not capitalistic. People who will see Liberia as a country that needs to be developed. We need to start being shamed everywhere we go, because look, our airport is dark, absolutely dark. It all happened that if we can vote the right people in, there's no reason for a flight to Liberia to run back to Sierra Leone to land. The responsibility and the power is in the hands of the Liberian people. Vote people that can move the country forward. Vote your children's future and the future of your children to come. Thank you.
On that note, we want to conclude by saying thank you so much for watching. Continue to watch us on all social media platforms. I want to thank my panelists for being faithful to come here and express and share knowledge with our viewing public. I want to thank our viewers for always following us here and giving us the support. Now there are a lot of things we are doing. We are extending into Liberia. It costs a whole deal of money. Please, if any way you can help us, please do so, so that the people in Liberia can benefit from this great education that we are providing. There is no other platform on the surface of the earth that is doing what we are doing. So, and this is true statement.
Everybody
You got
put more
proof?
platform, right?
You
Right.
got proof?
Are you opposed?
Yeah.
On that note, we want to close with our song that says we are all Liberians. Whether you believe the ANC lawyers are doing very well or so poorly, we are all Liberians. What we all should do is to make Liberia the greatest country on earth. That
Amen.
country on the light on the shining still. The Lone Star forever, the oasis in Africa, the country that was set up as the beacon of hope for oppressed Black people everywhere. That was the reason, and that's the reason we should all wake up from bed with. We are all Liberians is the song now that is taking our song. Good night and have a godly night.
Good night.
We are Liberians.